Another day in the NBA here, and even though it seems like it's going to be a tough NBA slate today, the work begins as it always does here on the Splash Play channel. We're going to dig in and compare my projections to one of the industry leaders out there, our friends over at Stokastic. We'll see who the top plays are, who the top value plays are. We'll also go game by game. We'll check the ownership along the way. We'll see where the leverage lies in some of those spots. We'll check out my simulation data. We'll hop over to Stokastic, run their sims as well without my interference to see what the top lineups are. I'll try to do a hand build, and by the end of this video, guys, you'll know industry's must plays along my Splash Plays for today, January 22nd, 2026. Let's get into it here. And yeah, yesterday's slate, bit of a weird one. Had a top five going in the 4-point play, which the Discord is very stoked about, and then immediately dropped 3 points behind guys like Robert Griffin III, one of the greatest guys in our community. He had a really good finishes across a couple tournaments yesterday, so shout out to him. But ended up finishing just top 200s. It's like, it's a brutal swing. A lot of the chalk yesterday paid off really well. Dennis Jenkins, a guy that we kind of talked about on stream. I wasn't really, to be totally fair, wasn't totally on the ball with Jaden Ivey and his minutes limit being where it was. So I guess his minutes limit is back down. That's why he didn't start yesterday, even though at one point earlier in the year, he'd played just shy of 30 minutes. But not so much the case yesterday. Dennis Jenkins got all that run. He was a player that in my sims is coming into basically every lineup. So definitely, it was one of those spots yesterday where if you had the chalk and you got some good pieces around it, great. If you had the chalk and you had Peyton Pritchard like I had around it, maybe not so much, but that's how it goes. How's my day going? Thank you, Jake. I appreciate the kind. It's going well. I'm glad we're doing a stream now. Mostly just usually, as is the case every day, I'm just endlessly tinkering with the stuff on the site, endlessly tinkering with my data. Got to get going more with the NFL stuff, but we'll get that live for next week, hopefully. And it was a 200-person train. We finished in front of, oh, there we go. I'm happy for you guys finishing ahead of the train. You never want to be in the back of a train. That's one of my general rules of thumb. Top projected plays for today here. Of course, all the data, as you can see for yourself, at splashplaypodcast.com, my new NBA hub for all the data that I normally have in my Excel sheet. Now it is in an actual website form, so we all can rejoice accordingly. But Tyrese Maxey, your top projected guy here. As of right now for Philadelphia, we have a Q tag on Paul George, at least last I saw injury report-wise. Joel Embiid probable today, so it seems like a spot where he'll be going. But in this situation here, going against Houston, not a matchup we love in any particular situation. We also, for the Sixers today, where's their total at? You've got a 109.5 total for Philadelphia at home, 2.5-point dog at home. Definitely could be a spot where the game is competitive, but not one where you expect to see Tyrese Maxey have the ceiling that he normally has. The good thing is that a competitive game for Maxey, you might get 40 minutes out of him, but if that production is not, as good as it normally is in fantasy point per minute numbers, he's probably going to be a guy that even if he does get those extended minutes in a close game that he can get, still might not have the upside. And on top of that, right now in the data, you have Embiid probable, you have Paul George questionable, so he's in the data set. If you take Paul George out, I think we could talk about Maxey a little bit more. Right now, the field's at 1%. I only have Tyrese Maxey making 5.5% of my winning lineups across 10,000 contests. So Maxey, not a priority today, but I would say in a slate like this, people not going to easily afford the 10K guy because there just isn't a lot of great value on the slate to get to as of right now. Recording the video, of course, 2 p.m. East Coast time, as we do every Monday to Friday here. I think as it is right now, it's hard to get to Maxey, and the data doesn't support getting to Maxey. So I do think in that respect, maybe that gives them the tournament upside you're looking for at less ownership, because people don't like that Houston matchup very much. Shout out Robert Griffin III here, dealer tip for hundreds of dollars in cash winnings and 4 figures in unexpected hospitality services. All right, I appreciate that. And yes, thank you for the kind words as always to my good friend Robert Griffin III. And really glad to see it's going well. Again, he's one of the guys that's been using the VIP level of data here, getting to see all the simulation data. So for you guys out there, check it out for yourself. Our guy Will won 100K last week as well, using this stuff we're building out here on SplashPlayPodcast.com. And I do feel like it's one of those things where this isn't me selling snake oil. It's just, I think, creating good tools using, the stuff that I've accumulated knowledge-wise from my time working with Stokastic, obviously for years as well, just playing DFS, studying the stuff as intently as you possibly can. But it's really nice to hear that guys like Robert from the Turd, who I know, bangs his head against the wall a lot, trying to find success in this stuff. Glad to see it's working out. And I appreciate this. Your Kennard call won me the $125 single entry. Okay, well, shout out to that. Kennard ended up becoming a less good play as the day went on, but if you watched the video and you never saw any updates on that, yeah, I guess he would have paid off really well. So shouts to Sean here. Awesome to hear. That's really glad to see the success you guys are having. It's really awesome to see that, whether it's from the video or the stuff I'm putting on the site. But shout out to Sean. Shout out to Robert from the Turd. Number 2 projected player here, we got Jamal Murray. So again, not a spot here where these top salary guys, top projected guys have really great value metrics on them. Tyrese Maxey, I have 2.5, actually, no, just 2 fantasy points higher than Stokastic, but he's only a 4.7x value. Jamal Murray, I'm a little bit lower on, but I only have him as a 4.8x value. But Stokastic's projection for Jamal Murray a little bit higher at 49.3. Last time for Jamal Murray in the game that he played, you saw probably the first half, he went nuts. Then you saw sort of what I think he is generally when you have Jokic off the court. He was terrible in the second half, and that's sort of what the Jamal Murray experience is, summed up in one game. But today they face Washington, so I do think you don't want to be too out on Jamal Murray, even if you're like me, a skeptic based upon the fact that his usage goes down, his assists go down when Jokic is off the court, let alone taking Jokic off, taking Brown off, taking Cam Johnson off even. It all negatively affects Jamal Murray because he just has less guys to get shots up around him. And the guys who do get shots up around him, like your Aaron Gordons, pick it to a lesser extent. These guys, and Peyton Watson especially, for the most part, these guys are creating their own shot. So for Jamal Murray, he's been a less good fantasy producer, in the current configuration, but he's facing Washington. So the field's at 23%. I'm only getting 16% of it in my top lineups right now, but I do think for Jamal Murray, definitely one of those guys where I don't want to be under on him. Still think that there's going to be enough support for him hitting his ceiling, given the fact he's facing Washington. Victor Wembanyama, a 34% expected ownership coming in right now. He's facing Utah. That helps out a lot. Still minutes limited overall. Expected to play only 27.3. He does sometimes lose closing minutes to Luke Cornett, a guy who's going to pop up, I think, here in a moment as one of the top values on this very not value-laden slate. But Wembanyama here, a lot of ownership at 34% of the field being there. I'm only getting 15. My projection, though, is about 4 fantasy points lower than Stokastic. So not really sure why that would be. I think the Vassell rates that guys have, maybe I'm giving a few more stats to other guys that they think is going Wembanyama's way. Beyond the fact he's against Utah, fact you're against borderline immobile center and Nurkic, not going to be a bad thing for Wemby here. But I'm not there as much, so that's okay. Being under on Jamal Murray, under on Wemby, a little bit up on Tyrese Maxey, I think I feel okay about those, even though it is a pretty noteworthy stand for me being half the field's ownership right now in Wemby. Anthony Edwards, 15% for the field, 12% for me right now. My top winning lineups. For Anthony Edwards, the biggest thing that stands out right now, Q-tag, downgrade for Julius Randle right before the show. So Julius Randle's still going to be in the data set when a guy's questionable. You assume they're going to play. If they're doubtful, not. If they're out, obviously not. For Anthony Edwards, though, he'll look a lot better if you get Randle out today. Facing Chicago, not a bad matchup. He definitely has a ceiling, no matter what the situation. Right now, the field's at 15%. I'm getting 12. Not a big stand for me or the field for Anthony Edwards, but I think that would change a little bit more if you get Julius Randle out. And real fast, just out of curiosity, let's pull up the Wowie because I don't know offhand what Randle being off will do for Ant, but I presume he'll get more usage, maybe a little more rebounding. Would think that Naz Reid would also look better as well. All right, so Ant normally averaging about 1.2 fantasy points per minute this year. With Randle off, he goes to 1.21, so a rounded down 1.2. Yeah, Naz Reid seems like your biggest winner, averaging 1.15 fantasy points per minute. Jaden McDaniels gets a little bit closer to 1 fantasy point per minute. Bones Highland, he's not going to really gain minutes, but he'll be more effective. Yeah, Ant just doesn't push it to the next level when Randle's off. Would have thought that looks a little bit different, but still think the upside's there. Again, you're facing Chicago. That's really the main thing. A team that does play poor defense with decent pace. And for Minnesota as well, you do have a 124 implied total today, which is one of the better ones of the slate. So for Ant, I think it's a spot where you can get to him if Randle's in, and you'll get to him more if Randle's out. Alperen Sengun, another guy here, doesn't project as a 5x value, $9,400 salary, facing Philadelphia today. The slower but still effective Joel Embiid. I'm getting him into 11% of my lineups right now. Fields at 7%. So for Sengun, definitely not a high own play, but he has that massive ceiling. Has hit as a low own play recently to win tournaments. So for Sengun, always happy to get him at low ownership. And again, for me, I think this is the main thing. Like, you're getting a lot of Wemby ownership for the field, a little bit more for Jamal Murray. To me, flattening it out. Getting more of Sengun, getting more of Banchero now. He's going to look different in my data than Stokastic's because Franz Wagner got ruled out before the show. I updated for it, but Stokastic is not yet. So from Banchero for Sengun, these guys coming up a little bit more in ownership because they're basically unowned and they don't project too much worse than the other guys. Banchero at 9,300 will look a little bit better for having Franz Wagner and Jalen Suggs back out today. Franz has been back in. Now, I don't know if he's getting a regressed injury or what, but he's out again. So for Banchero, should get a little bit of a rate uptick, but at 9,300, that's definitely seemingly already priced in to some extent. But, at this point for the Magic, I expect the rotation to sort of consolidate more around your starters. Has been the case for the most part when we've seen Franz out previously, where it was basically Banchero, Anthony Black, Desmond Bane, not Wendell Carter, but like those guys, the big three playing, 35 or so minutes. That's, I think, what's going to happen here. So I gave Banchero 35 minutes. There's a chance he get it to 37, even 39. That's what he's done a good amount of times with Franz Wagner out. At that point, he'll look like a better play if he can't hit that minute ceiling. But with 35 minutes of the projection, I think he's a decent play, getting 8% in the fields at 5. But I think both parts of that will come up because of having Franz Wagner out in Stokastic's data whenever that updates. Keontae George, we've seen the massive ceiling for him lately, putting up, I think it was 40 plus real life points last time out. Just went nuts scoring wise with having Lauri Markkanen out. Markkanen's out again today as he's recovering, I guess, for his conditioning after having a little bit of an illness. So tanking is most likely the thing. Now that he needs to rule Lauri Markkanen out to lose versus the Spurs, most likely. But Keontae George here, 5x value, one of the top pay-up options here that also has a 5x value. There's not a lot of them. And my projection is actually 0.3 lower than Stokastic's right now. They have at 42.8. I'm at 42.5. But he does gain the most usage-wise, does also theoretically gain some assist upside for having Lauri Markkanen off the court. For Keontae George, he's just been a great player this year. Talked about him when he did. Not saying that I thought he was going to go nuts scoring-wise, but as part of the reflection on him, like the fact he's shooting so well. This year, he's over 60% true shooting. He's actually at 61.5%, which is really good for a guy with a 28% usage rate. He also has a 30% assist rate, 1.16 fantasy points a minute, accounting for the matchup today, and the lack of Markkanen to have him at 1.2 flat. I like Keontae George a good amount here. Matchup versus the Spurs, not a great one. But frankly, if he can light up the T-Wolves, I think he can light up the Spurs if things align. Keontae's questionable with the same kind of injury. I got after. Oh, okay. We're doing dick jokes. But yes. I did not see Keontae being questionable. Hold on. Let me just take a quick look here. Utah left forearm strain. Okay, so that's what explains the jerking off joke. Yeah, if he's out, that's going to be a mess. I mean, Nurkic would look infinitely better, though at that point, the Jazz are really at risk of getting blown off the court by the Spurs. If you have no George, you have no Markkanen already. But George is such a usage, I'll say black hole, but like he's really good. So I don't want to call him like that's got negative connotations for a guy who's not adding a lot of value with what he does. But if you take him off, I mean, you're going to get Collier looking better. Walter Clayton should play again, though. As we saw last time, he looked like decent value. His minutes are not assured, unfortunately. I mean, Filipowski would look more playable than he is right now. Bryce Sensabaugh would look better. Right now, he doesn't look like the most playable guy in the world. Yeah, so Keontae George, definitely an important Q tag. If he plays, I think he looks good. If he doesn't play, then obviously it's going to be wide open season for the Jazz for anybody who wants to get shots up. Julius Randle right now getting 18%. The field's at 20. Again, Q tag downgrade for him, so we'll see if he goes today or not. For Randle, though, 18% for the field. I'm getting 20, so not a big stand there. But he is also facing Chicago, so much like Anthony Edwards, whether Randle's in or not, obviously, you can't play Randle if he's out. But both guys have the ceiling, whether Randle's in or not. So that's sort of how it looks right now for the T-Wolves. You're going against Chicago. It's a good total, all that. Joel Embiid, 2% sim ownership, fields at 3. Not getting any meaningful stand on him. I think my data is starting to level out with Stokastic a little bit more. Previously, earlier in the year, they were giving a lot more of love to Joel Embiid's historical sample size. As a result, he was like 5 fantasy points higher than mine on a lot of slates, sometimes even more than that. Now we're talking about it being 2.5 higher for Stokastic than mine. Again, I think that just reflects the fact that Joel Embiid's still good this year, but not as good as he used to be, and you have to kind of reflect the current season more. It's what I do in my data as best I can. But Joel Embiid here, Fields getting 3%. I'm getting 2. Just doesn't really matter on the slate right now, but certainly contrarian play against Houston. And, it is a team that's going to play good defense, but the size of Embiid, there's no Steven Adams there now. You'll get him going against Şengün. Like, things can align well for him. I just don't think the projection's really there. Amin Thompson, not really coming up for me here as well. Getting 4% field today. A little bit of a rate uptick for having no Steven Adams out. That's part of why I have Amin Thompson at 40.4 and Stokastic has him at 38.1. But for Amin Thompson facing Philly, not the most generous matchup in general. They're an okay, league average defense, but it does feel like the lack of pace plus that means you're not generally getting a lot of outlier games or really big boosts in production for guys. So for Amin Thompson, he plays a lot of minutes. That helps out, but not a priority play. Fields at 4%. I'm getting 8. And Steph Curry, no Jimmy Butler, so certainly can hit upside. Dallas, despite being a shitty team, has played good defense this year. But Steph can go off against any team, any spot. But Steph, 9K salary. I'm at a 40.2 projection. Another guy that's hard to love projection-wise. Fields at 16%. I'm getting 8. We're going to sort by value here, guys. We know the deal. I got to ask you guys to hit that like button and subscribe. Again, really means a lot to me here when you guys hit that like button, because really trying to break through the ceiling to whatever there means to get, more views per day. Feels like we're reliably getting like 1,700 views on these videos on YouTube alone. Twitter numbers probably all bullshit. So it doesn't matter. But please help me out. Keep fighting the good fight. Would love to start getting over 2K a day. I'm going to keep doing the work here. Again, I do the best I can to make improvements to what I'm showing you guys to add more data in a responsible way. It's going to add more value to your guys' process here. And the results are showing you guys from you saw from the super chats earlier, hopefully. But hit the like button, subscribe, come along for the ride here every Monday to Friday at 2 p.m. Check out Stokastic, link down below if you want to check them out, get all the data they have over there, even their yearly packages. I actually tested it today to make sure I wasn't lying to you guys. I do the stream, but all their data, monthly, weekly, even yearly, 15% off. If you go down below, click the link and use the promo code SPLASH. So great site, of course, all the DFS data they have in there. They have constant guys up top winning tournaments or coming close to it. The guy Skull Crusher, who beat me last week, finished first when I finished fifth, and that's 70K person tournament for $100,000 up top. He finished second yesterday, so that guy's going nuts, using Stokastic Sims for himself and still somehow building lineups that I think are more unique than the average Stokastic user. That's sort of flexibility you get. If you want to use their sim products, you'll definitely be a better DFS player for it. So check it out. Link down below. Use promo code SPLASH and get over there. And last but not least, join the YouTube channel here. I've upgraded, so now it's hopefully less confusing about joining the Discord. But you do get to join the Discord as part of it. But the big thing here is if you want access to my splashplaypodcast.com site, and if you wanted to support the show, $5 to do that. And get to the live chats here along with getting to the Discord. But if you want to get my data, check out the Squirt Squad tiers down below. And in fact, if you join the Squirt Squad tiers, you get this matchup screen that I will show you guys in a moment with all the data, all the stats, including advanced stats like corner threes, dunks, shots at the rim, all that stuff. You get my projection matrix here, which I'll zoom out on. Very good way to reference players and how they're being owned, how they're being simmed. I guess you guys won't see ownership, but how they're being simmed, all of that. The projections as well, you could sort by, and you're seeing them all flat. So you could go, when you're hand building in particular, I think it's a really big ad when I hand build on the show. This is the screen that I use. If you're a VIP member, you get my sim data here, sortable CSV export for whatever you want to use it for. You get my simulation data as well, how often guys score 30, 40, 50, 60, how often they 5x, 6x, what their target score is, which means every lineup, it's a winning lineup, what they score when they make it. And you also get an export here for Stokastic Sims if you're a VIP member. So lots of good stuff. Support the show if you can. Check those things out and join down below on YouTube. I would recommend joining on a desktop so you don't pay the Apple extra charge they give you, but join down below and you get all those options. So new graphic. We love a new graphic, right? I think so. You're paying the rake if you haven't joined the community. I think that's true. That's what we say here. All right, so the ownership here is going to look a little bit wacky because of the fact Stokastic didn't update their data before, but I still simmed off of it. So Noah Penda right now, Field's going to get 2%. That's going to change. Basically, before we saw Franz Wagner come back in, Penda was getting 27, 28 minutes a game. I don't know if that's guaranteed that it happens that way. They could go Tristan da Silva starting. They could do something else weird if they want, go with a different fifth guy starting. But Penda's been a good producer. I know, again, the chat in general here, I know Stokastic chats as well. Love Noah Penda usually. He does project well at 3,800 if you give him 27 minutes. I'd have him at a 25.9 projection. That gets into about a third of my lineups right now. But I do think when Stokastic updates and the pool ownership catches up here, because basically the way that my lineups are built here is like it would build 5,000 lineups with my projection, so Noah Penda would get in a good amount. The field would still own Noah Penda at about 2%. So when that catches up, I think Penda might be today, the slate where there isn't great value, he might be a 50% play. Outside shot of 66% plus. I think Noah Penda is going to be your value of the day unless something else opens up. Trey Johnson, 30 minutes is what I gave him. Again, had to update for no Bilal Coulibaly because Stokastic had not done that yet before the stream started. But Trey Johnson, Fields getting 49%. I'm getting 51. Not a big stand there, but much like Noah Penda, he is good value. Relative pricing, and I think relative positionality, I would definitely prefer Penda as a value. I do think Penda 2 is a better per minute producer. The matchup too, for Penda going against Charlotte, definitely not anything that we're too worried about either. But I think for Noah Penda, Trey Johnson, these two are your two clear top values right now, as of the 2:20 p.m. on the East Coast. We'll see how much that changes, but we think that Trey Johnson's ownership might stay flat. Noah Penda is going to come up a lot more though. Keyshawn George. So Field was at 27% before Koulibaly got ruled out, so that number's going to come up. I'm getting Keyshawn George around 42%, so it's probably around where the ownership will get close to. But Keyshawn George now getting about a 38-point projection for me at 33 minutes projected. I think that for him, the spot versus Denver, if Washington could stay competitive, Keyshawn George has a chance to play that upper band of minutes, like 35, maybe 36, 37. Getting Koulibaly out, even though he's not like a great contributor, it just unlocks a little bit more of minutes upside for all these guys. And for Keyshawn George, he's the best producer. So happy to go there with 42% exposure right now. Let me zoom in. Why am I zoomed all the way out? There we go. Rudy Gobert, 23% for the field right now. I'm getting 31. He'll look even better if Julius Randle is out. But Gobert's been popping up a little bit for me lately. Has not left me feeling too disappointed. He's been about a 1 fantasy point minute producer this year. And certainly in certain matchups where he gets those blocks, where he does get a few more rebounds or just easy kind of shots at the rim, he definitely can pay off even more. Against Chicago, sometimes Vucevic drags the center off a little bit, which I think was why Zubac struggled a little bit in the early part of that game. And then when they started settling in, just gave Zubac the ball in the post over and over again. He started to dominate a bit more. For Rudy Gobert, I would worry that maybe a little bit that he gets sucked out to kind of guard Vooch at the top of the key and just generally behind the three-point line. But, again, I think the block upside there, if you get Randall out at 6,300, I think he'd just be too cheap for sure. But right now, he's definitely too cheap as it is, even with Randall in, getting him at a 35.5 projection. And that means 31% ownership for me in the field at 23. Luke Cornett, guys, been playing big minutes, some of which alongside Wemby lately, because of having no Devin Vassell, they've gone bigger for whatever reason. You can also have him lose minutes. Keldon Johnson could play over him, guys like that. But Luke Cornett, 4K salary, playing Utah, getting projected for 24.5 minutes. I would say not quite as good of a value as Noah Penda as Trey Johnson, but he is still making 25% of my top lineups here. Fields at 26. Alex Sard, despite being 6,800, looks like a top value for me. Played 30 minutes last time out. Having no Koulibaly doesn't really affect him directly, but it does sort of mean those starters can play a little bit more combined. And I think for Sard, he's basically been around 30 minutes no matter what. So Koulibaly out probably doesn't matter that much for him. Probably a slight rate boost for him. But Sard at this point, facing theoretically a coming off injury Joe Val, if not him, facing absolutely no big man of note for the Nuggets. I think Sar looks like a good play in that situation. Fields at 28%. I'm getting 35, though. Again, all my Wizards numbers are going to be a little bit high because of the fact that Stokastic had not updated for them, and I did. Bub Carrington, getting Field at 5%. I'm getting 10. He is not one of my favorite Wizards, but definitely a guy that looks better because of having no Koulibaly out there. I've been playing just shy of 37 minutes. That results in him having about a 30-point projection here. That said, Carrington, never my favorite player to play. Where are his numbers at? He's holding steady at 54% true shooting, though he is shooting 41% from three, but really bad from the floor overall, 40% field goal. It's got to come up. I don't know if that's a spot, like going against Denver. It's not a great defense. It is a less than league average defense. So maybe you get Bub Carrington playing a little bit better today. He's out there a ton, so I don't want to rule out Bub as being a 5% play. But right now I'm getting 2x the field on it, so I guess that's still something. Justin Champagnie, another guy getting more minutes theoretically for having Koulibaly out. 15% for the field. I'm getting 23. He's about a 1 fantasy point minute producer. Small forward, power forward eligibility as well. Again, I think Noah Penda now a much better play, but Champagnie also a good one at 4,700. Stephon Castle, Fields at 39%. I normally love Castle, but I'm only getting him at 34. My projection is 0.2 higher than Stokastic, but Castle 6,800. We do still have, besides Noah Vassell, the Spurs kind of priced appropriately at this point. I think Castle has upside, especially because he does create assists. Going against Utah, you'll have some shots falling more easily, so maybe those assists are coming from him setting up guys that have, are knocking down threes a little bit more or whatever. Yeah, I'm okay with Castle. I'm actually surprised I'm low on him, but it is what it is right now. Dylan Harper Fields at 35%. I'm getting 22. Minutes have not been great for Dylan Harper, but now he's 4,200. Same thing here going against Utah. Anybody can have that upside. Dylan Harper getting second unit usage, having a little more freedom to get the ball in his hands. Definitely a positive thing. But that said, his production's been down a little bit. He's definitely your third guard, safely behind Castle and Fox. He's not pushing those guys for minutes in most spots. So Dylan Harper, not crazy about here, but kind of like, like a month and a half ago when he hit against Washington and he was mega chalk. It's like, you don't need to play him, but he can hit very easily in spots where like the defense sucks and he's hogging the ball in the second unit. Anthony Black, I've playing 35 minutes now with Franz Wagner out. Again, all the guys should get an uptick in minutes that are key rotational players because they just don't really add any new guys in when Wagner's been out historically. But Anthony Black, field was at 3% before the show. I got him at 15. My projection came up to 38.3 for him. And Stokastic before with Franz Wagner in had him about 32.6 fantasy points. But Anthony Black priced more than appropriately. I think it's 7,300. But I really do think for Orlando's guys, the minutes can get pretty high for them without having Franz in because they just don't seemingly have guys they want to play in lieu of Franz. Brandon Pajemski still getting an uptick here because of having no Jimmy Butler in the lineup at this point. For Pajemski, pretty much guaranteed minutes, but the price tag at 5,300, no longer the screaming value he was earlier in the week. Fields at 22%. I'm getting Pajemski at 19, so not a noteworthy play really, but he's a guy coming up. And just behind him, Aaron Gordon will look like a better play if Joe Val doesn't play right now, though. Aaron Gordon, I put him on the thumbnail and was like, oh, forgot about Joe Val playing. I don't think Aaron Gordon actually matters too much on the slate right now. We're going to go game by game here. Given their prices and limited-ish value, would it be reasonable to play Harper and Castle in the same lineup tonight? Yeah, that'd be fine. Theoretically, they do pull from each other a little bit, but if, the Spurs, blow out the Jazz, those two guys are probably the two you would look at, or two of the two you would look at for, really contributing, Castle scoring and assists, Harper mostly just scoring. Yeah, I think that'd be fine. I wouldn't do it in every lineup. I wouldn't go nuts on that, but it's fine. Guys, before we go into the game-by-game breakdown here, one more ask. Make sure to hit that like button and subscribe. Again, it means a lot to me, especially as an independent creator here. I'm competing against legitimate companies to get views every single day, and yet I show up and do the work, so help me out. Fulfill your side of the bargain you didn't agree to by hitting that like button and subscribing so we keep fighting the good fight against the YouTube algorithm. Check out Stokastic, all their data, all their Sims products, of course, update throughout the day. So check it out for yourself. Get your hands on Sims, really important part of the process, I think, if you want to be good at DFS, and especially for a lot of people out there that don't really know, what good lineups look like. You might think you know, but you don't really until you actually are playing with data and understanding when you are, just what things really do break in certain directions that you just don't even foresee as a human being. So check out Stokastic, link down below, get 15% off the promo code SPLASH, and that is any cheap package, any expensive package, even weekly, monthly, yearly, it's all 15% off with promo code SPLASH. And last but not least, join the channel here, join the family is what that graphic says now. But join down below the video, $5 if you join as a supporter, get into the live chat, get into my Discord if you also want to get my data and access to the splashplaypodcast.com site. And it will work for NBA and NFL. So I am populating college football data along with all the season's results data on the NFL version of the site. So we got cool stuff coming here that I'm working on. MLB too. It's all going to be one subscription. So if you join down below, Squirt Squad tier, VIP tier, you'll get access to a lot of cool stuff. And check out the site if nothing else for free, splashplaypodcast.com, because you can search players, you can check out season stats, all the fantasy relevant stats I pull in for NBA. So there's cool stuff. This screen, you can see here. Who's got the most usage in the league? Luka Doncic. Wow. Now you know, etc. All right, game by game view. We got Charlotte at Orlando, 227.5 combined points here. I'm also on the stats plus. Let's go to regular stats. Sim ownership for Brandon Miller coming in for me here at 20%. Fields at 19. Not a big stand there, but Brandon Miller at 7K. One of those guys that I feel like the price tag works. He's made lineups for me, including yesterday. Yeah, for Brandon Miller, he's an okay player, has big upside, unless he gets ejected for technical fouls in the third quarter and ruins a perfectly good slate otherwise. No, I'm not bitter about something that occurred 3 weeks ago. LaMelo Ball, 2% ownership for the field. I'm getting one. Awful day yesterday for LaMelo. Certainly for that bad of a day. On the back-to-back, nobody on him, playing off the bench most likely. I think it's not crazy to go back to him and hope that he can hit, but the projection's not there. Stokastic is only giving him 23.4 minutes, so hard to play an 8K guy who is getting 23.4 minutes, even if LaMelo has been producing like a monster on the year with 1.4 fantasy points a minute. Con Knipple coming up a little bit, 8% for me, rounded up 8% for the field. Not really a big lean there. He's just one of those guys you rotate in because sometimes they will make a winning lineup. Charlotte is not the most appealing situation, I think. Getting Brandon Miller about as good as it looks. And frankly, if you took him off the slate, I'd go, okay, I'll play somebody else and it'd be fine. Orlando here will look better when Stokastic updates. For right now, though, you do have a 117 implied total for them. Banchero getting 8%, the field's at 5. He just looks like a better play for having Franz Wagner off. That said, didn't really take a massive jump up with me only having at 42.8 now, and Stokastic having at 41.9, even though Franz Wagner is still in their data. Anthony Black, much bigger stand, getting him at 15%, fields at 3. Bain, I'm getting 7%, the field's at 3. I think he, like Banchero, okay play in my data, but not really standing out. Would say that Black stands out more. Wendell Carter, okay play, but at 5,900, think the upside's priced out, even with Franz Wagner out. His rates do take a decent uptick, though, in pretty much every category from having Franz out, because Franz contributes in every category as well. Noah Penda, I think, is a big winner here at 3,800. I expect him to start. It is possible, though, that Tristan da Silva starts. The good news, this is the first game on the slate, so you'll know before it locks. But Noah Penda, I think, is now your screaming value here, and I expect Stokastic, when they update, they're probably going to give him like 26 minutes, maybe 25 minutes. He'll still be your top value, I would guess, no matter what. As a pretty good producer on the year, 0.96 fantasy points a minute. Rebounds well, 16% rebound rate. Technically a better rebounder than Wendell Carter and Paolo Banchero. A little bit of assists. Not great usage, but he's hopefully going to shoot better at some point in 54% true shooting. But no matter what, he's your top value today. Not quite a Dennis Jenkins level value, starting, but not that far off it either. For Denver and Washington, you got this game here with a 228.5 combined total, so not the highest. Nuggets 117 implied, also not the highest, given the fact they are facing bottom tier defense, giving up 122 points per 100 possessions. You can see right here. But Jamal Murray fields 23%. I'm getting 16. Like I mentioned, don't think he produces as well per minute. We saw the upside and the downside in his last game. First half is like really good Jamal Murray. Second half is him playing kind of like he has overall with no Jokic out there. But Jamal Murray in this spot facing Washington, there's really no barriers to entry for him. I think you want to be with the field or close to it. Peyton Watson fields 7%. I'm getting 14. Having Joe Val in hurts his usage a little bit. Peyton Watson got up 17 shots last time out for Denver, so he is like your number 2 usage guy in most situations for this team at this point. But getting Joe Val in, I think, especially if he starts, coming off the calf injury, who knows? But for Joe Val, I think just his presence at all sort of hurts the projection for Peyton Watson enough. Still getting 2x the field at 14%, but not a big stand here like it has been sometimes when he's hit for me so far in the last couple of weeks. Aaron Gordon, again, not as priority of play as he looked like with Joe Val out. Fields is 23%. I'm getting 28. If Joe Val is downgraded, I think going back to Aaron Gordon to be a good move after he disappointed the last time he played. Really didn't get a lot of shots up in that situation. He put up, I believe, 9 shots, hit 6 of them, while Peyton Watson put up 17. Jamal Murray put up more than that. So Gordon, you want to see that usage get a little bit higher. But I do think in this spot, I'd still have him for 19.3 points, decent rebounds, decent assists. Willing to go back to Aaron Gordon here. And again, really go back to him in a meaningful way if Joe Val ends up out. On the Wizards side of things, getting Koulibaly out. He was not out in Stokastic's data, so that's part of why some of the numbers are going to be a little bit off. But Alex Sarr looks better now. I'm getting him in 35% of my lineups. Fields 28. Keyshawn George, we talked about already, 42% for me. Fields 27. Trey Johnson as a value looks pretty good. I'd prefer Noah Penda because he's cheaper. But Trey Johnson, frankly, a more locked-in role, I guess, because it wouldn't shock me if Da Silva started over Noah Penda. For Trey Johnson, though, I don't think he's going to start no matter what at 4,500. But I'm getting him in half my lineups right now. Fields also at about half. Champagny looks better right now because having no Koulibaly, I'm getting him at 23% of lineups. Fields at 15. Chris Middleton as well should play 25 plus minutes here. 20% ownership for the field. I'm getting 17. And Marvin Bagley is a value, 4,200. I think you really need Sarr to get in foul trouble to really want Bagley, but he can play, efficiently in his run of minutes. He is producing 1.1 fan sports minute, as you can see over here. So not a great value at this point. Fields at 6%. I'm getting 3. Houston and Philly, we got 221.5 combined points here, so not a great total in this spot. No Steven Adams like we talked about, but everybody else in for Houston, so nothing much to love here. Şengün at 7%, I'm getting 11. Amin Thompson at 3.5, I'm getting 7.5. Durant, 6, I'm getting 7. Really not big stands here. The totals just don't look that good with the Rockets at 112, Philadelphia at 109.5. But certainly if the game total does, beat out the 221.5 expected, that's where there could be tournament upside for, a couple of guys here, maybe multiple guys on both sides. Philadelphia with Joel Embiid probable, Paul George questionable. Doesn't look that good here. If Paul George is out, I think you'll start to see Maxey look a little bit better, Embiid look a little bit better, Edgecombe a little bit better, but nobody here is going to stand out in a meaningful way. Maxey though is a 1% owned play. I think he always has that kind of tournament ceiling because he does play massive minutes. And even though the defense going against him is pretty tough, if he plays 40 minutes out there and just has a few runs of being really effective, Maxey can still put up a massive day. So no issue getting to Maxey, but Field's only there at 1%, so if you get 5, 6, you've probably got more than enough. But Paul George being out's the thing to watch out for. Until then, just doesn't look like that great of a spot. Warriors in Dallas, we got no Jimmy Butler. The Warriors getting 120 implied points. Mavs, no AD, no Daniel Gafford as well. Downgraded doubtful before the show. So 114.5 implied points for Dallas. The Warriors, it's a pretty generous total, 6.5, actually, no, 5.5 point favorite here on the road. Dallas has been a decent defense, 113.4 points per 100 given up is actually like about league average if you're not the Thunder. The Mavs, same thing on their side, giving up about 114 per 100. Not too bad there. But the total's high, so it does seem like outlier scoring here is possible. Steph Curry, the field's on a good amount, 16.2%. I'm at 8. He doesn't gain a whole lot rate-wise from having Jimmy Butler off the court. Draymond gains more rebounds, more assist upside. Fields at 37%, though. I'm only getting 28. I've been producing about 1.05 fan sports minute today, which is a pretty big uptick from his usual 0.93. Pajemski Fields at 22%. I'm getting 19. Again, not a big stand there. But these guys have upside. The total seems eerily high. Draymond's ownership, though, I do think a little bit elevated more than it should be. Dallas, despite having no AD, having no Gafford, nothing here looks that good, so we could save some time on this one. Cooper Flag, 5% for me, Fields at 4. PJ Washington, 13% for me, Fields at 8. I think the positionality there and price tag look okay. But nothing to love here. Chicago, Minnesota, 238.5. Believe the highest we have on the slate right now. For the spot, though, for Chicago, getting Gideon makes everybody look less good, even with limited minutes. You are facing also a Minnesota defense that's decent. So for Chicago, nothing above 3% for me here. So I just don't see playing the Bulls very much today. But frankly, if a guy like Keontae George can get going against Minnesota, no, they might be a little more susceptible to things going against them than it might seem. Because Minnesota's defense, I respect a good amount. But they are just basically, again, like a league average defense. You know, decent, not quite the Thunder. For the Bulls, or for the Minnesota side, going against the Bulls, rather, you are getting a pretty good total here, 125 implied points. If Randall is in, 20% for Randall, 12% for Edwards for me. A little bit above the field on Randall, a little bit underneath on Anthony Edwards. Gobert is most appealing, 31% for me right now. Fields at 23. Getting Gobert, not usually a guy who pops in my projections, so when that does happen, I'm very happy to get there. Naz Reid as well will look a lot better if you get Randall out, but if Randall's in, still a guy that can spike massive upside in the second unit. But for Minnesota right now, the Randall Q tag is the big thing. If Randall is out, then we are going to need to swap to a lot more T-Wolves. If Randall is in, it just doesn't look as good. But this game today goes off at 8 o'clock, so you will have a good amount of games in front of it. You want to have some swappability, I think, if you can, to try to get to more T-Wolves if you get Randall out. Especially Naz Reid, but just the upside for Edwards gets higher. Gobert, I'll get a lot of him anyway, but I think getting more of him would be a nice thing to have. Spurs and Jazz, 237.5 combined points here. Does seem like kind of a high total for these two teams. Spurs getting 125 implied points, so even higher than we just saw for Minnesota. For Wemby, Fields at 34%. I am low on it, getting only 15. My projection, though, is 4 fantasy points lower than Stokastic. So for Wemby, he's a guy that I really haven't gotten a ton this year, and it hasn't bit me in the ass too much. I don't see that changing today, but yeah, if you want to be with the field, 30 your lineups holding him, whatever. Stephon Castle, Fields at 39%. I'm getting 34. Good matchup again for a guy who does lead the team in assist rate and also is putting up 1.1 fantasy points a minute. Dead even with De'Aaron Fox, even though I think people don't realize it. De'Aaron Fox, theoretically also playable at 7,200, but I think if I were going to play a guy, I'd go to the cheaper Stephon Castle, who projects as a 5.4x value. But Fox is going to be, 1/3 the ownership, so some theoretical game theory opportunity there for De'Aaron Fox. I'm only getting 11%, though. Julian Champagnie randomly spikes upside so much, and I don't really get why. He's a good shooter, 60% true shooting, and pretty much like he's okay from 3, 37.4. But he has these random first halves where he goes like 5 for 7 from 3, and I don't really get how it happens. With the ownership going to Wemby's way, Castle's way, I think Champagnie just kind of a leverage against it, if you like the same way that Fox would be. But I just don't trust him. Like, he's not really shooting a lot. He's got 16% usage. It's just his spike days make the least sense, I think, out of anybody's spike days in the NBA. Keldon Johnson can close if things break his way, but he's not guaranteed to do that. It could be Cornette, it could be Champagnie, it could be a lot of different ways they can go, really. But Keldon Johnson, 21% for the field. I'm getting 19. Not a big stand there. Cornette, 26% for the field. I'm getting 25. Not a big stand there, but at 4K, I do think he's a decent value as a guy that's playing a lot more minutes than I would think, with Wemby's minutes being locked into about high 20s no matter what. Dylan Harper, Fields at 35. I'm getting 22. Like we talked about, he's going to play off the bench, but he can be very productive off the bench against a Jazz group that's got nothing going overall, but especially defensively. Harrison Barnes, not really a play for me with his minutes being down. He kind of needs to get like the endless run he used to get. But the Field's at 9%. I'm getting 4. Jazz here with Keontae George in. If he doesn't play, you're going to want a lot of Jazz players. If he does play, Keontae George is the one I want to get to. 19% for me, Fields at 11. He's got massive upside, been a great scorer this year. I've said it before he went off last game, but now he's gone off. Like, you see the ceiling there, even going against a T-Wolves team where they threw good defenders at him, and he still hit a ton of shots, went nuts. Spurs will do the same thing, and like maybe he'll run bad here, but Keontae George has been like really, really good. Defensively, I don't think he's worth shit probably right now. But as like a scorer, he's one of the better young scorers in the league, and you should know him if you don't. Yusuf Nurkic Fields at 3%. I'm getting 5. He'll look a lot better at 7,700 if we get Keontae George out. That said, the Jazz overall would depreciate in quality a good amount from having no Keontae George. So Nurkic has put up 60 fantasy points or so. Like, he's gone nuts in recent spots because now he can play again because they're in games where I guess there's no risk of them losing to another team who's tanking. But Nurkic should be out there. He's getting locked in run again for whatever reason. Getting 5% here. I think you want to be a little bit above the field if the field were to be at this low of an ownership. Sensabaugh, Fields at 13. I'm getting 18. He'll look better if Keontae George is out. Right now, he looks okay for having no marketing in. Svi Mikhailuk back in the rotation as well. Fields at 5.4%. I'm getting 11, but not any big stands here. Ace Bailey will play decent run. He's not been a great producer, shooting terribly at 53% true shooting. Also 0.8 fantasy points per minute. But you can go there. All right, and that's the game-by-game breakdown, guys. Real fast, let me show you my simulator data. They'll have over to Stokastic run their sim, but I do like to show you guys this stuff. So right now, the guys who make the most winning lineups, Trey Johnson for me, Keyshawn George, Alex Sarr, all these guys above 33%, but Trey Johnson making 50% of my top 10,000 winning lineups here from the sim I ran before the show. Noah Penda made 33%. I think that number will come up once he gets the more lineups in the pool when Stokastic updates their data. Stephon Castle, also in about a third of my winning lineups. Rudy Gobert in 31%. That's your top guys here. The guys who hit 5X the most, Noah Penda, Trey Johnson, Keyshawn George, Rudy Gobert, Luke Cornett, Sarr, Bub Carrington, Champagny, Castle, not that far behind. The guys who hit 6X the most, looks pretty similar. Penda, 70% of the time, he goes for 6X. Trey Johnson, half the time. Keyshawn George, almost half the time. Luke Cornett, almost 40% of the time. Rudy Gobert, almost 40. Anything else useful here? Your highest target scores on the slate. Tyrese Maxey normally scores 65.4 when he's in a winning lineup. Jamal Murray, almost 61 when he's in a winning lineup. Wemby has to score about 60 to make a winning lineup. Highest leverage guys. Jace Richardson, getting him in 7% of my lineups. The field was going to play none. That's it. All right, hopefully something useful here. Check this out for yourself as it updates throughout the night if you join with the Squirt Squad VIP tier down below. All right, let's go to Stokastic now. Let's see what they have for us. See if they updated. They have not updated, it looks like. So unfortunately, this is going to be data that still has Koulibaly, Franz Wagner in it, but we'll still run it. Of course, guys, show some love no matter what here. We're going to do the process as best we can Monday to Friday at 2 p.m. So please hit that like button. Please subscribe. Again, trying to break through whatever view count glass ceiling we're on right now, where I want to reliably get above 2K views per day. But, you know, right now we're hitting 1,700, 1,800, 1,900. So let's keep hitting that like button if you can. If you enjoy this content, you want to keep seeing it show up for you, then hit that like button and subscribe. Check out Stokastic too. Of course, their sims, when they update, they're some of the best of the biz. People keep having shots to win money every single night with Stokastic avatars. Really one of the litmus tests of, like, if you know a slate went the way that data says it should go, how many Stokastic avatars are you seeing in the top 100? How many, you know, Saber Sim ones? How many, those are really the main ones. I guess ETR to a lesser extent as well. But check it out. Join down below with the link in the description, and then use the promo code SPLASH over at Stokastic. Get any packages you want, 15% off. And last but not least, join the channel here if you want to join as a supporter. Join for $5 if you want to get access to the Discord as well, or the live chat. That's what you get with $5. You want to see all my data on the SplashPlayPodcast.com website, updated lovingly throughout the night. Whenever there's any update, I rerun things, resim things. It is a process for me that's actually gotten really efficient, but you guys benefit from it. People are winning money. You saw the super chats earlier. Again, guys won 100K within the last week thanks to the new Splash Play site. So join the journey here, and of course, join down below and support the show. Squirt Squad tiers if you want the data on the Splash Play Podcast website as well. All right, your top ROI lineups. Again, this is before everything updated, so you are going to still have Wagner in the data. You're still going to have some stuff that I don't think is the most helpful, but Keontae George, Dylan Harper, Brandon Miller, Julius Randle, Rudy Gobert, Stephon Castle, Keldon Johnson, Luke Cornett. That would still be a valid lineup. You just have a better shot of like a Noah Penda or a Trey Johnson making it perhaps. That lineup looking good with a 167% ROI right now. Number 2, you have Dylan Harper, Anthony Edwards, who will look even better if Randall is out. Tim Hardaway Jr. Really don't love him if Joe Val's going to play today. Aaron Gordon, another guy getting shots up does not help a guy like Tim Hardaway Jr., who is already not really getting shots up as it is, with nobody available on the team basically for months. THJ, though, makes this lineup: Aaron Gordon, Rudy Gobert, Keontae George, Draymond Green, Luke Cornett. Okay, Luke Cornett coming up as one of the top values, but I think that the Noah Penda situation is going to move that around. Number 3, De'Aaron Fox, Anthony Edwards, Keldon Johnson, Draymond Green, Rudy Gobert in this one as well. He's in our top 4 lineups, it looks like. Stephon Castle, Bryce Sensabaugh, Luke Cornett. The lineup's still valid. Just, there'll be ones that look better, I think, when the data updates. Number 4, Jamal Murray, Dylan Harper, Brandon Miller, Draymond Green, Rudy Gobert again, Keontae George, Keldon Johnson, Luke Cornett. And number 5, you got Dylan Harper again, Stephon Castle again, Svi Mykhailiuk, Draymond Green again, Alex Sarr, Keontae George makes it again, Julius Randle again, Rudy Gobert again. Gobert made all the top 5. Actually, all the top 6. All right, so I'm not alone on Gobert. Again, I do think that's going to look even more pronounced when, if you did get Randle out. Not when you get Randle out, but if you get Randle out. Right now, your top ROI player is Keontae George. Again, really do think that if he's going to be 11% owned, I agree. I want to get 2x the field on him. Really, I can't undersell enough. Thought in that game versus Minnesota, I would go oh, Keontae George, man, you're good. You had a few moments of brilliance, but you didn't really get all the way there. The fact that he lit up Minnesota, I think there's a ceiling for him in any matchup he goes into. 8,300, still an appropriate price tag. There is a floor. And after he just went nuts, maybe you want to play the floor a little bit more. But if the field's not going to play him today, just get a little bit and hope that he's the thing that keeps him competitive if he does play with that forearm strain. Rudy Gobert, number 2 ROI, number 3, Luke Cornett. Don't worry about the negative numbers here. We care about the directional accuracy because this is basically all the ROIs combined across the entire set of lineups that's Stokastic built. Bryce Sensabaugh at number 4, Julius Randle number 5, Anthony Edwards, and Noah Penda. So Noah Penda, even with Franz Wagner in the data, was coming up a little bit. He's going to come up a lot more when they update. Highest exposures. I didn't favorite the top 150. That's my bad. Highest exposures. Rudy Gobert is in 2/3 of the lineups. Fields only at 25% and change. So big stand on Rudy Gobert, who I also like a lot. Luke Cornett, Fields at 59%. Fields at 25%. Stokastic wants you to get 59. Again, I do think the Noah Penda value opening up will change that, but Cornett, Stokastic loving as a value. As a guy that can close games, will not start, but playing a lot of minutes lately for Vassell being out. Dylan Harper, 54%. Fields at 34. He theoretically could earn more minutes, I guess, but I think it's mostly you're looking for efficiency in his bench minutes with hopefully the high usage guys off the court. Keontae George getting 4x the field. Fields at 11, you're getting 43. Big stand on him. If he does play, I think he's worth 2x the field. I don't know if 4x, it's an aggressive stand. Julius Randle, you're getting more than 2x the field, 18% for the field, and you're getting 41. And Draymond Green, 40. Trey Johnson, 39. Highest leverage guys, you're getting 41% more in the field for Rudy Gobert, 33% more in the field for Luke Cornett, 32% more in the field for Keontae George. Again, a big stand with him making almost 45% of Stokastic's top 150 lineups. Julius Randle, 23% leverage on him. Dylan Harper, 20% leverage on him. And then Bryce Sensabaugh, 16 right behind. Your biggest fades right now in Stokastic data. And keep in mind, this will move pretty meaningfully because there are 3 really... I wouldn't say 3 massive guys, but Wagner, pretty important. Koulibaly, less important, but he does play minutes. There's a few things they have to update here that are not updated right now. Wemby, you're fading here. Fields at 33%. They're only giving you 21%, so negative 13% leverage on him. I would support that. Trey Johnson, you are fading. I did get him pretty much even with the field in my sims, but Stokastic giving you negative 11% leverage on him. Chris Middleton, negative 10% leverage. Only 11% of Stokastic's top 150 lineups are playing him. Fields at 21. Keyshawn George, negative 10% leverage, 19% exposure. Fields is 29. That may change when they update the data. Really for him and Trey Johnson. Taking Koulibaly out, I think, may kind of make these guys move entirely out of the negative leverage tier, unless they get mega chalky. Julian Champagnie, the Spurs Champagnie, you're getting negative 9% leverage. Like I mentioned, really a low usage player. He's shooting well, but you just don't expect those ceiling games to happen as often as it feels like they've happened over the last month or so. Peyton Watson, you are barely playing here. He's only on 2 out of the top 150 lineups, and the field's at 8%. And Jaden McDaniels right behind him. All right, let's do a hand build real fast, even though, again, Stokastic is not updated for everything, so it's going to be a little bit weird to try to do. But, I think you guys still enjoy a good handy at the end of the video, and if I don't leave a bunch of men satisfied, they leave this video. And a few women, mostly men, though. Mostly men we're giving the old handy to. But I'm going to pull up my matrix screen over here so I know the guys I like the most at each position. Really valuable, again, for the hand build. I'll die on that hill. My point guard. Point guard for me would be Trey Johnson right now. He does look better in my data for taking Koulibaly out, which the Stokastic data is not accounted for yet. But I am going to put him in here at point guard 4,500. Shooting guard for me would be Keyshawn George, but they're not going to view him as quite as good of a play. Stephon Castle behind him. I'll go Castle just because I don't think Keyshawn George is going to give me a good ROI right now. I might still put him in at guard later on, but for right now, let's go Trey Johnson and Castle. I think are going to look okay no matter what. I'm going to put in Noah Penda here. Let's see if we get a positive ROI on Penda as it is, because then you know if Penda picks up the start, and even if he doesn't, if he's playing off the bench, he'll still look better, projection-wise. But whoever starts out of him and Tristan Da Silva, I do think you want to be exposed to as your best value guy, most likely. Power forward, Draymond, Aaron Gordon, Justin Champagnie. Let's go Draymond. My sim does have me underweight on him, but I still think he's a good enough play in terms of just like what the expected hit rate is. For center, I'm going to go Sassar is coming up for me because of having no Koulibaly, but I think he'll still grade out well enough in Stokastic data. I'm also going to put in Gobert as a second center here. So we are locking in Gobert and Sar. That leaves us 8150 left for guard and forward. I mean, we know the sim likes Keontae George, so let's just plug him in here. Keontae and Keyshawn, both very playable today. That leaves us 8K for a forward. Peyton Watson, Aaron Gordon, not great. Not great. Let's see. Who would it complete the lineup with if I leave Keontae George out? Jamal Murray and Naz Reid. All right, that's fine. Not priority plays for me, but we'll try it out. So Trey Johnson, Stephon Castle, Noah Penda, Draymond Green, Alex Sarr, Jamal Murray, Naz Reid. What if I go Keontae here? Can I upgrade Draymond to something? Or downgrade him, perhaps? What if I go Champagnie, the power forward? It leaves us 8,800 at forward, which means Julius Randle. All right, so this lineup still got Noah Penda in, and he doesn't look as good as he will later on. But Trey Johnson, Castle, Penda, Champagnie, Sarr, Keontae George, Julius Randle, Gobert. This lineup is grading out well, and that is with Koulibaly and with Wagner in the data set. So I think this lineup's going to look really good when they update. But anyway, stay tuned, guys. I will not be on Stokastic shows today unless they put me on the schedule. I don't know it. So this is your only video for me today. But tomorrow we'll be on the NFL channel at 12 p.m. NBA and also premium video after that. 2 p.m. NBA channel tomorrow. Live before lock tomorrow. I also want to give you guys my splash plays in a minute. I don't know why I'm plugging that. But I do think this is one of those slates where like the data is going to change when things update. So just keep that in mind. Make sure to look yourself. So if you have a Stokastic sub or check my Splash Play podcast site out later on today. But either way, guys, hit that like button, subscribe again. You know the deal. It means a lot for me here. One creator's doing the best I can to show you my work across the NBA. And of course, a lot of it will add value for you, but really just play whatever you want and try to use the process here. I'm showing you, like, be aware of usage rates, be aware of ownership, be aware of like what guys' hit rates are and things like that. That'll help you out a lot. You see some of the results that the guys in the community are getting, and hopefully you guys can do the same for yourself by just watching the video. But I think especially if you join the channel, do all that stuff. But either way, we'll talk about that in a minute. Check out Stokastic, 15% off, link down below. All the weekly, monthly packages, even yearly, all 15% off. And of course, you can get the whatever package you want, cheap ones, expensive ones, all of them, no matter what sport. Promo code SPLASH when you get over there. Promo code SPLASH, 15% off. Use it over there. And last but not least, join the channel here. $5 to join if you want to join as a supporter. And get into the Discord, see my updates, which show you the top owned plays, top projected plays as well. That's part of that package. But get the Discord, get the live chat, all of that if you join for $5. If you join the Squirt Squad tiers, you get parts of my SplashPlayPodcast.com site that will enhance your process, will make you better at DFS, and especially just doing the research, looking at it. It sounds stupid, but like just having data that you can look at every day, start to get a feel for what it looks like. I'm pretty confident that, based on what I've seen from guys in the chat so far, I think you guys will get the results that you're looking for more so using my data. All right, splash plays for the day. So right now, oh, Cornette's out now? Okay, sick. Well, take him off as a value. Great. We got Splash plays for the day. Well, who's going to play for him then? That doesn't matter. I can't think about that now. Trey Johnson. We got Noah Penda. Assuming Penda starts. If not Penda, De Silva. But whoever starts for Franz Wagner, just not priced for that situation right now. I presume it's going to be Penda, but keep your eyes peeled. Watch Stokastic shows later on today. Get a read on that if you need. But Trey Johnson should be good no matter what. I do think that Alex Sarr, Rudy Gobert, splash plays for me. I think Keyshawn George, Stephon Castle going to be splash plays for me. They're going to be core plays, if nothing else. And I think that's enough for now. Again, data's going to move around, so keep your eyes peeled, guys. Always check out injury stuff. Don't make your lineups now. Just sit on them all day. One of the worst things you could do. But I appreciate all you guys being here. Make sure to gamble responsibly, even though it is always money time on the Splash Play channels. Follow me at Chris Spags. Follow this channel at Splash Play Bets on YouTube, at Splash Play Pod on Twitter. You can see my NBA and NFL content. And I'll see you guys again soon. So, hey, enjoy your days. Good luck. And let's see what happens on the slate, guys. Catch you soon. Bye-bye.